What's up, man? I really appreciate the intro as usual. Man, I was looking at the topics and I was like, this is going to be very hot and spicy. So definitely can't wait. Can't wait to get into this stuff because a whole bunch of stuff happened over the weekend, literally.
Mm. Hey, Boom. Hey, before you get to me, dude, the chat is saying that they cannot hear you. I don't know if you hear me or not. It's the first time I've spoken, so we cannot be hearing the host of the show.
Okay, well, folks, I did not realize that I was on mute, which is what I did a couple of weeks ago, like a complete boob. So what I'm going to have to do is this. First of all, folks, I want to thank you so much for being here. It's been a real difficult day. We are running super short-handed this evening. Sorry for the first 5 minutes of the show being dead silent. I do apologize for that. But I have been really trying to figure out how we were going to get this show started with 3 people. And unfortunately, we have Cybernox, who's going to be here a little bit later. We also have Slow-Mo Backslap, who's our special guest, is not going to get here until 9 o'clock. And unfortunately, Clowns has been taken ill, and so Shady is going to be making his return next week. So right now, as it stands, we only have 3 people, but we do have an amazing show set for you guys. Lots of stuff to talk about. We have a really big Xbox topic that I'm going to break down, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring that forward probably in the middle of the show once we get some more people here, because it's a lot to talk about. Now, I just want to throw this out there. I know that there's a lot of people that have been hitting me up in the DM, and I've seen it on Twitter, that they wanted to know if we were going to talk about Halo Infinite and what's going on at 343 Industries. And we are not going to talk about that per se today, because I have a topic that I wrote for Thursday's Xbox Factor podcast, and we're gonna be breaking that down. And I'm happy to announce that Zemi Games, who you know from Breakfast with Boom, is moving from that chair over to join us on the Xbox Factor podcast on a weekly basis, and I'm very excited about that. But you know what? Let me get into the introductions, and which of course I'm going to do for a second time, because you guys didn't hear me the first time because I'm a boob. But again, the stress of trying to get these shows off the ground with no problems sometimes is a little much. But let me just talk about who's here. First, we have a gamer whose undying skills in Destiny have no match and no limit. He's our inside man to everything GameStop. He's an incredible father, husband, and one heck of a community member that knows how to motivate these young people. He is the creator of the amazing Gaming Forte YouTube channel and an integral part to the Basement Radio Arcade podcast. Please welcome to the show, as always, Guardian Forte.
What, man? Appreciate the invite. It sounds even better and epic the second time around. And once again, the topics are fire, so I can't wait to jump into this with you guys.
Well, listen, it's great to have you here. Thank you so much for being here each and every Monday night. And again, it really does mean a lot to me personally to have you on the panel. And our second panel member, and you know him as the Monster Hunter legend of primetime gaming. Something that he likes to tell folks is that it's an MMO life for him, and there's a big one coming out that he's going to talk about later on. He's a gamer who will save the universe from the clutches of the profound darkness when Phantasy Star Online 2 releases in 2020, an Apex Legend assassin on the level of Agent 47, and an Overwatch player who understands there are no I in team. Please welcome Tempestsun.
What's up, Boom? Thank you for an invite to the show once again. I am looking forward to the topics. It's only a 3-man crew, but we got this, bro. Let me tell you what. This is just fun for us, man, getting together talking about games. So let's get to it.
Well, I mean, listen, the fun thing about these shows is getting a chance to hang out with other gamers, right? It's almost the same thing as if you're playing a game and we're all on live, we're all on PSN, and we're talking, and we're just hanging out. And of course, we have this amazing community, which there's almost 50 people already ready to go, and that's pretty awesome. But, you know, I'm going to open up with a topic that is, hashtag fun, right? And this is an originally created topic of discussion. I've been playing Zelda Link's Awakening. It released on September 20th, and to great success, commercially and critically. And in fact, I am just about to beat the game. I'm up to the last boss right now, and I got to tell you, there's something about Nintendo where you've heard me say this on the air before. I like to consider them the Disney of gaming. You know, their characters are so unique and so classic. Everything about Nintendo, it just screams quality. And if you have a Switch and you have not had a chance to play this game, I urge you, if you were a Zelda fan, to buy it. It is an amazing, amazing recreation of the original 1993 Game Boy release. And it's gorgeous to look at. But that's not what this particular topic is just all about. See, besides it being nominated for getting at least the nod for Game of the Year, I'm thinking that it should be in everyone's Christmas list wish if you didn't get it. But that's, again, not what we're going to talk about right now. There has been a title that when you talk about Mario games, it's probably one of the more popular games that have not seen an HD remaster or recreation. And of course, I'm talking about Mario 64. Now, we have heard rumors that Nintendo is possibly remaking this. And I got to tell you, every time that there's going to be a Nintendo event, I always sit there and watch, hoping that they're going to show the old Mario 64 from the N64, which was a launch title, and then they show the updated version. And I'm still holding out. And I would really, really like to see. I mean, to me, this is like the classic of classics when you talk about Mario games. And the N64 is still a revered console. I mean, it's one of my personal favorites. But you know what? I want to get to the panel's opinion. I want to ask a question to the chat. If Mario 64 isn't your thing, what? And this is to the chat. What original Nintendo game would you like to see get the Zelda A Link to the Past treatment, where it was, redone from the ground up? And now this is, of course, to my panel, which is it's just three of us. And I'll go to Forte because you obviously have kids, and of course I'm going to come back around to. Oh my God, I'm having a brain fart. I'm trying to read the chat here. Sorry about that, guys. So Tempest, you have kids also, and it's you guys have, because you can understand what they see, how important to bring a class like that forward to 2019 or 2020. Gaming Forte, I want to get your opinion on this. Do you think it would behoove Nintendo to, instead of creating another like Mario game from the ground up, that they could bring back Mario 64 in the same vein that they did the Zelda classic that we're playing today?
Man, well, when it comes to that, the last Mario 64 I played was the one on the DS, which was really, really good. Being able to go back to the 64 version would be pretty amazing. Nintendo can pretty much do whatever they want to do when it comes to their old IPs, or not even old IPs. Their old IPs are new IPs when it comes to them. But when it comes to actually just making and bringing back these cult classics with these games, I would be 100% down for it. But even for Nintendo, I would always, stay on the side of wanting something new from them. Now people will always say, what more can you do with Mario? And I'll tell you, well, they can make Mario Odyssey, which is one of the best Mario games that's come out, where you can have two players and one person plays as a hat, and it is grounded in the land of Mario, and you kind of have parts of it where you feel like you're in real life situations. And I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed that game more than I thought I would enjoy it. The reason I think the Zelda one does so well is because, first of all, I don't remember the last time we got, well, actually, I think it was the regular Wii, that we got two Zelda games in the same generation.
Yeah, it's been a long time. It's been a long.
So people are obviously still head over heels over Breath of the Wild, and then just finding out that we're going to get a remake to a classic, a Link, of this one. It's like, wow, okay, I am about halfway through it. I'm enjoying it immensely more. I remember what the old one looked like, and I was like, man, the game was great then, but looking at it now with the aesthetics and the upgrades and graphics that they did just makes me happy and want another Zelda game. The thing with Mario, they kind of already remastered the way that Mario looks, and this is the second time we saw Zelda in the light of being brought up to like current gen graphics and stuff. Yeah. So now that we're seeing a second Zelda, now we're going back thinking like, well, what can they do with the rest of their IPs? What can they do with Mario? What could they do with like Kirby and stuff like that? And they kind of already did that with the Wii U. They never kind of did it with, Wind Waker was the only one on Wii U where they actually upgraded the graphics a little bit, but that was still just cell shaded. They kind of didn't change a lot of it, where Breath of the Wild was something that was just completely brand new, and it surprised everyone that they were able to pull off a game that big on that scale with the power that the Switch had on it. So I will always be for Nintendo doing anything and remaking any of their old IPs and bringing them up to current gen expectations, but it really just comes down to I'd rather have a new title than I would have an old title, especially when it comes to Mario, because we get so many Mario games as it is.
You know, I mean, I agree. I agree. I think that, and it's easy to say, oh yeah, I want something new. And Mario, I mean, listen, there are a few games that I think could possibly come before Mario 64, though I would, this is just my opinion, I would like to see Mario 64 first, because if you remember what that game did for not only the character, not only the N64, what it did for the industry, it was the first time that you could run around the world of Mario in 3D, right? Well, and to see that realized in graphics of 2020 would be really...
Well, some people will tell you, and it's not me, but I can see where they're coming from. Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2
yes, that was going to say that.
They kind of did that, and I think that's mostly where I think of it at. Like, it's kind of something they already did, even knowing 64 is a completely different type of game, even though they're kind of in the same vein. But that's probably the reason. They, like I said, they did it with Zelda. Zelda was something brand new that we'd never seen before, where they kind of did this on not a scale of 64, but they did it with the Galaxy games.
It's true, and you know there's another one in there that people discount on a regular basis. It is almost like the redheaded stepchild of Mario games, and
Sunshine?
Yes, sir.
Sunshine is
yes,
incredible, bro.
Sir, man. And you know what? I personally, I would take either of the four. If you want to do the Zelda treatment, if you want to do what they've done for A Link to the Past for any one of those Mario games, I again, this is just my opinion, I would take either of those four games over a new Mario game, only because we have Odyssey, and it's still amazing years later. Tempest, I want to get your opinion on this, because, like I said, you know, we have been talking privately, and you had asked me, said, listen, I really want to get something for my daughter, but this might be too hard. I don't know. Mm-hmm. And the game is very forgiving, and it seems like something that she might actually enjoy. Besides seeing what they did with Zelda, again, this is a Game Boy title that was flat on the screen, that if we tried to play today, we'd look at it and we'd give them the stink face for sure, right? Even though it's a classic game, but what they have done, the wizards at Nintendo have really done something special here. Like I said, I really think that this game, even though it's a smaller title, it's not, your original Zelda IP. It's something that we've already seen. Some people, because for me, I never played the Game Boy version. I skipped out on that one, so this was new to me. So I enjoyed it. If not Zelda, what would you like to see Nintendo remake in the same vein as Link's Awakening?
With my answer, I just have to say I agree with Forte about the Mario 64. They already kind of did that with the Wii, and even if you were to take 64 and give it a visual overhaul, I think you'd end up with Odyssey in its own way. You know what I'm saying? Now, I'm going to break the rules a little bit, because you said besides Zelda, but I don't think there's any other answer than Ocarina of Time. The reason I say that is because fundamentally, Breath of the Wild is so different than Ocarina of Time and those games. Those games, there was kind of an open area that you could explore and stuff, but it was much more of almost like a dungeon crawler. You know, you'd literally just go from dungeon to dungeon. The dungeons were much bigger than what you'd find in Breath of the Wild. And man, I still remember getting stuck for hours on the water temple, only to find out that you just look a little bit to the left and you see there's a down or something. You're like, oh, you know, like those old days, man. Like I think the combat in Ocarina of Time still holds up, even with Breath of the Wild. I think it just really holds up. I have the best memories from the 64 on Ocarina of Time. If you couldn't tell, it's my favorite Zelda game. I just think, I just bought my wife at an anime actual Ocarina, and she got the book with the Zelda songs and all that stuff.
Oh, that's nice. Real nice, dude.
Yeah, hearing her play the songs and stuff, every time I hear it, I'm just like, it gives me bumps. I'm like, ooh, I want to play that, you know. But I know they brought it out in the 3DS, and it was a pretty good little port for that handheld. But I just think because it is a little bit of a smaller game, just in the sense where it's not so open world, maybe they could push the fidelity even higher, you know, as far as graphics and stuff. Maybe instead of such a cell shady look, they can make it look a little bit more like Twilight Princess and just, just go a little more hard with it. You know what I mean? And I see somebody in the chat, Shizno Elite says Water Temple's evil. Man, you're right. Terrible. But that's just my best memories of 64. I was going to say, but it's not a first party Nintendo game. But man, if you really want to remake a game and remake it right, don't give us like this crap that they've tried to spoon feed us before. But I would love a real from the bottom up, a remake of Turok, the first Turok.
Oh wow,
that's what I would love.
That's back in the Acclaim days. Holy cow!
Just the complete makeover. I'm totally changed the game, like a legitimate remake, kind of like what they did with Resident Evil, you know, in the second one. That kind of remake. That's what I want. But then again, Capcom could just give us Dino Crisis, and I'll be a happy man. So. But yeah, that's what I wanted to say, but it's not first party. So if I have to pick a first party game for 64, it would be Ocarina. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good one. I mean, listen, as much as I love the Mario games, there's a particular game. Again, it's another one of those titles that were on the Super NES. Mm-hmm. We had a version released on the GameCube. We had a version on the N64. And that's F-Zero. Man, do I absolutely... My brother Neo Mental and I would play that racer for hours. That is another game. Again, if they could do Mario Kart as well as they did, could you imagine what they could do with these magicians with F-Zero, a new F-Zero for 2020? It's all I can say is that this has been an incredible year for any Switch owner, and you know, I'm sorry that he's not here to talk about it, because if there's one person when you say Switch, I think of Slow-Mo Backslap. I mean, he has abandoned pretty much everything. I mean, am I right for saying that, Forte?
Yeah. No, that dude, I ain't gonna play no Switch. They ain't got no games for me. Now he plays that.
He would tell you he wants his remake to be Fire Emblem Three Houses, even though it just came out. He'd say pick that.
Right, get it to me on Xbox so I can play it on all three houses.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Well, listen, I mean, again, this wasn't going to be like the biggest topic of the evening, but I like to throw some different ones in there because, you know, I mean, listen, at the end of the day, you know, a lot of our, even if you're not an old bastard like myself, right? Like you're pushing 50, there are still people in their 30s and, you know, and early 40s that remember starting out on an NES or a Super Nintendo or even a freaking GameCube. So I like throwing these different topics than you're gonna hear. But I want to move on to the next one, and this one is a little bit of a bummer. If you didn't already know, Doom Eternal has been delayed until March of 2020. And even though that is a bit of a bummer, I'm not going to sit there and lie to you. There is a lot of games that are coming out in the next couple of months. I don't think it would have gotten lost because it's Doom. I mean, Doom Eternal is going to be amazing. But they announced that Doom 64 is going to be a pre-order bonus for the PC, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, and of course the PlayStation 4. And that is pretty wicked. You know, we're coming off of a N64 topic to talk about the pre-order bonus Doom 64. I remember running to the store to get that, even though I've already played Doom 1,000 times. If you're playing Doom on a Nintendo, right? I mean, come on. But you know what? I pulled this story from Windows Central, and when asked about the actual delay and why it was happening, a spokesperson from Bethesda had this to say on the matter, and I kind of want to just read this and get our thoughts on it. Throughout the development of Doom Eternal, our goal has been to deliver a game that exceeds your greatest expectations across the board. To make sure we're delivering the best experience for Doom Eternal to live up to these standards of speed and polish, we've made the decision to extend our launch date by a few months to March 20th, 2020. We know many fans will be disappointed by this delay, but we are confident that Doom Eternal will deliver a game experience that is worth the wait. In addition to shifting the Doom Eternal launch date, we've made a couple of other changes that we wanted to let you know about. And this is what they added. In this story, they talked about the invasion mode. Now, the invasion mode allows you to enter another player's game as a playable demon. This will be a free update shortly after the game launches. And then, of course, they announced that Doom Eternal is, in fact, releasing for the Nintendo Switch. The port will release after other platforms, though there's no concrete release date yet. And like I just talked about, Doom 64 is going to be coming as a free pre-order bonus. Now, Forte, I know that because you work at GameStop, you've probably seen the pre-orders, especially the one with the helmet, sell out ultra quick. That Doom helmet looks dope, and I have it pre-ordered. I cannot wait to put it on my collector's shelf. Are you bummed out that Doom 64, if the Doom Eternal is delayed, or you are okay with it simply because there are so many games coming out? Uh-oh.
I just heard him a second ago.
Forte, you there, brother? All right, we'll come. We'll come back to him. Tempestsun, why don't you take that question?
Yeah, so I have a terrible, awful, serious but not serious theory, and this is terrible. And I'm serious, not serious, but Stadia has smothered Doom Eternal all over their marketing, right? I'm wondering if they don't want Doom Eternal, a lot of people's first impression, to be on Stadia playing that kind of game with latency, you know? I don't know. It's just, like I said, serious, not serious, but the thought have crossed my mind, because I often thought, even before it got delayed, I was like, man, if people really go into Stadia and choose for some reason to buy Doom Eternal first on Stadia, I don't trust Stadia if you haven't.
No, I'm sorry.
I don't trust
the negative latency that they're talking about does not excite me at all. Sorry.
Yeah. So, I mean, you know, so that's my like wacky theory. I don't know. It's probably not true. I'm probably an idiot, but the thought has crossed my mind. I'm like, they can't possibly want people to really actually play their game on that service first. You know what I mean? I don't know. But you know, a delay can really only make a game better, you know, as far as I'm concerned. So if there's something they needed to iron out, then I'm just glad they're going to iron it out. You know, this was one game though. Like, wouldn't it be so cool if, it's coming out though way earlier than the new consoles, but it'd be so cool if, like, even if PS5 did it or if Xbox did it, you know, they brought Doom Eternal out on stage and are like, not only is it 4K 60, but you can do this game in 4K or, you know, less than 4K, 120 frames per second. Because if there's any game that screams really high frame rate, it's Doom.
Oh,
Doom
for sure.
series.
Absolutely.
That'd be so cool. But no, you know, it doesn't bother me. There's so much to play. I mean, yeah, it sucks. I was actually really wanting to play because the Doom 2016, dude, that was awesome.
That was
I literally had like
phenomenon.
Yeah, I have like 3 or 4 songs on my playlist that I just listen to all the time, and whenever it kicks up, I just have to like headbang and go crazy. So I mean, yeah, I'm totally ready for another Doom. So,
it's funny because when you mentioned Stadia in the article, and I didn't have it in here, I read it though. It's pretty interesting because they didn't mention Stadia's release date, and I don't necessarily even know if it's going to release in March 2020, because when they talk about what's coming in March 2020, all they say is the PC, the PlayStation 4, and the Xbox One. Stadia is nowhere to be found, so that in itself is concerning as well.
Well, like I said, that's the one game where I could see them purposely dropping the resolution, maybe, to just get like an experimental 120 frames. That game is all speed. I mean, it's one of the quickest shooters. I mean, it takes you back to the old Unreal Tournament days, the old Doom 3 days, or just Doom, the original Doom days. I mean, I forget what it is. I think Doom Guy is actually running at like 30 or 40 miles per hour or something like that. Somebody did the math somewhere. It's like this dude just running 30 miles an hour with a shotgun in hand. I mean, yeah, it's fast. So, I mean, if one game you need to have extremely ridiculously tight controls, it would be Doom. So when I first saw like Stadia you put Doom in like the fighting game category. Like, really? They want to put that on a streaming service, and that's like your headlining game? Really? You just got a question. You're like, okay, whatever. So
I got news for you, and this is not a topic, unfortunately, but I no offense, Stadia, I think it's DOA on arrival. I just think that, folks, if you didn't know, you know what? I'm actually going to bring that up in a bit. We'll save that as a topic for later on. Forte, are you back, my brother? I don't hear him. Oh, no. That means that we'd be down to 2 people.
He left and joined again, but I saw that it lit up here, but I didn't hear anything.
Oh, man. Okay. Forte, are you there, brother? Okay, this man, you want to talk about the podcast completely going off the rails? This is where this is when it happens, folks. All right, well, listen. Listen. Until we're gonna just keep it going. I mean, this is show business, so we're live on the air. We just gotta roll with the punches, and I hope that you guys. Yeah, are you there, bro?
No, that was me.
Okay, yeah. Well, he is having technical difficulties in the worst possible time because we only have 2 people now on the panel. All right. Well, listen. And a topic that I actually did not have listed, but we're going to talk about because it's very, very exciting. The invitations have just gone out for Project xCloud. And man, I gotta be honest with you. I have been a bit of a stalker. I've been reloading my email to see if I was picked. And there have been a few people that have posted on Twitter that got the invites. And of course, big congratulations to them because that's a big deal. And I got news for you, man. When you hear, again, thankfully enough, I was very, very fortunate to attend this year's E3. I got a chance to hook up with the Iron Lords, and it was an amazing experience. Thanks to Gotham Guy, who may or not be in the chat. He was really an amazing person that gave me his +1 to get into Xbox Fan Fest, and I've talked about that before. But what I'm getting at is using Project xCloud in your hands is something that is there are really no words to what you're seeing, because I had the opportunity to hang out with one of the developers along with King from the Iron Lords, and I was I had the controller, no wires, the phone was hooked up, and I was playing Halo 5, and it ran so ultra smooth. It was a life-changing experience. I mean, and again, the reason why I'm so excited about it is because when you look at, where like my history of gaming comes from back in the days when we had Pong, right? We had, my dad came home with the Atari 2600, Pac-Man, and one other game. And I came from sticks and dots, and to use this, to play Project xCloud for real, not just to hear about it, not to hear Phil talk about it, not to see someone play it on stage. I got a chance to play it. It was incredible, and I honestly, from the bottom of my heart, cannot wait for this community to try it out. It is going to freaking blow your mind. And I see Cybernox, it just got here, so thanks for being here, dude. I'm gonna get to you in a second, Cyber. Tempest,
no problem,
Tempest. What are your expectations for Project xCloud, and are you excited to see what Microsoft is going to do with this technology?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we've spoken on here before about this very thing, and I'm extremely excited. I mean, there's definitely opportunities for me to use it while I have a little bit of downtime at work, when I'm on the go. There's certain reasons for me to want to use it outside of just sitting there and getting into a deep gaming and experience. You know what I mean? I'm extreme. Yeah, I wish I was right there with you and trying the thing, to be honest with you. I really wanted to try it. I haven't gotten my email. I wasn't picked either. I've been stalking my Hotmail account like crazy. I really but yeah, so I've already read a couple things that good news is so far it seems like it's working pretty dang good. So I don't know. It's funny that that's working and Xbox Live is down right now, or at least it has been down.
Yeah, you know what it is? I think they're putting the new update, so I think obviously it has to go down for them to put this new UI, which
yeah. But no, dude, I'm extremely excited. I mean, there's so many uses for it. I can't wait, to be honest with you. And if it works as good as they're claiming it does, I mean, you know, it's 720p, 1080p on a phone. That's gonna look crisp, man. I got a Note. I think this is a Note 9 or something. A big Samsung.
I have the Note 8, so I'm ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's gonna look awesome. It's gonna look really cool. And you know, what's better, excited to see is if that rumor about that patent for the controllers, that kind of like they can make like a controller, but they kind of split apart into two pieces, and like you might be able to like wrap it around your phone or something like that. That'd be wicked. I thought that'd be really cool.
That would be that would make it like almost like a Switch.
Awesome.
Yeah. Cybernox, first of all, welcome, dude.
What is up, my brethrens?
Great to have you. As you can see,
on this Monday?
we are we're fine now. We're running a little. The ship is being pushed by wind power. Certainly not by the strength of the normal 6 or 7 people. But of course, we're going to continue pushing forward. And you came in the nick of time because we're talking about Project xCloud. It wasn't one of the original topics, but because the notifications for some folks that have gotten it have gone out, and some people are apparently using it already. I'm interested to hear what your takes on, because the first game that I want to play, because I already cheated and played Halo, is I want to play Killer Instinct, because obviously it's being streamed and it's a Twitch-based game. It's a fighter, so I really want to put Project xCloud to the test and see if it could handle a very fast fighter like Killer Instinct, which actually, to be honest with you, shocked me that it was one of those games simply because it is a fighter. But more importantly, have you checked your email? Did you apply to be one of the beta testers? And are you excited to see where Microsoft takes Project xCloud in the next generation?
All I'm saying is I've never checked my email app so many times in a day. Let me tell you. Oh my God. Are you kidding me? Unfortunately, as of right now, I have yet to be picked, but I am so excited for this technology. I feel like xCloud obviously will never take, it'll never take place. It'll never replace your console, but it's some sort of technology that's kind of like, oh, you didn't know you wanted this technology until you have it in your hands. You know, that's how I kind of feel about xCloud. You'll be able to play your games, and I'm talking about these full AAA games wherever you like. It's going to be amazing. I'm so excited for this. I'm extremely jealous of everybody else that got into the beta. I'm not going to lie, because I want to be in there too. But hopefully, hey, they say they're going to, or in the future, so hopefully I'll get picked. in the future lotto. But oh my god, I cannot wait for everyone to experience xCloud.
Yeah, I mean,
it with Colt when you guys were at E3. So man, that thing just looks like it's gonna be a good time. I mean, everybody can probably think of an instance where they would use it, right?
Oh, yeah.
Whether that be at work or you're waiting to pick someone up, or you're just anything. Oh, it's gonna be amazing.
One of the selling points for the Nintendo Switch, right, was, if you remember the commercial, and I do vividly, where the guy was playing, I believe he was playing Zelda, right? And he had the controller in his hand, and he looked at his watch, and obviously he had to go. He was going to a rooftop party, but that's not real, folks. Rooftop parties don't happen really that often, especially in New York City. But
stuff is broken.
Oh no, Nautical Gaming, you're back. Welcome, Nautical.
And I had to restart my computer. Discord decided not to pick up my mic no more. I'm sitting here yelling at the mic, and it shows that I'm talking, but it's not doing anything.
Well, listen, dude. Listen, this is. I got to tell you, folks. First of all, we have a ton of people here. We have over 80 people, and I have to thank you from the bottom of my heart, really. This show has been riddled with hiccups and boob-like moves, of course, by the host myself, who was muted. My God, I'm so mad at myself. And of course, panel members got sick and other people couldn't attend. And thank you so much for hanging out and bearing with us as we kind of get ourselves together. Normally, it doesn't run like this, but Forte, you've been hearing. I'm sure you've been listening to the show a little bit. We're talking about Project xCloud, and the invitations, the starting invitations have gone out. And as of this evening, I'm sad to admit that I have not gotten it yet. And I've seen some people post it, and I'm really happy. I am so excited for this community to give this thing a go, because it is going to be, no pun intended, a game changer, not only for the Xbox platform, but for gaming. Now, I'm just curious to find out your opinion on it. What are your thoughts that you could logistically be playing a game at home, right? Whatever game that may be. You have to go into work. You get into work, and while there's no customers, obviously, you could pick up right where you left off on that said game. How excited are you for what Microsoft is bringing to the table?
Man, I am very excited. I didn't think I would be as excited as I actually am today. When I saw your tweet congratulating them for getting the open beta out, I was like, God dang it, I didn't get accepted into it. I was like, I was sitting there like, because I remember someone asked me about it a couple of days ago. It's like, I think I said something on lines of, I'd rather play at 20 frames per second on my PC at ultra low settings to stream games. It did as soon as I saw the invites go out, I was like, God dang it, I wanted to try this thing. So it's like the biggest thing that people don't realize is we're all gamers. I mean, most of us are gamers. I think everybody listens to this show are gamers. And even if you're not interested in something like streaming games at xCloud, who doesn't want to at least try it out and see what it's like? And that's where I was thinking about on the whole situation. I was like, is it for me? No, but it could. But you never know. It could sway your opinion. There's been many things out there that have done it, and this could be the thing that does it for me. The fact that I didn't get into this beta, I'm devastated. I'm mad. Whoever's in it, shame on you for getting in it.
That's what I said too. I'm not going to lie.
Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you for filling out the sheet.
So.
Shame on you for filling out the sheet and actually getting in. You should be a great community member and give away your free access so us people can try it out. But no, I'm super excited. If I do finally get in, whenever that is, I'm gonna enjoy it and try it out. But playing games anywhere you can, that's like literally the dream for most people. That's why Nintendo Switch does as well as it does, because it has the ability to play your games wherever you want to go. So I cannot lie, I am definitely heartbroken I didn't get into this, and I know everybody on this panel is too, even if they don't want to admit it.
Well, real quick, you might think the streaming thing playing on a phone isn't for you, man. But trust me, there are going to be times where you are bored out of your skull. Like, you don't know what to do with yourself. And you're going to be able to, if you own games on the Xbox ecosystem, you're going to be able to press a few buttons and start playing some form of game on your phone. Trust me, everybody's going to want to be able to use it at some point. And that's what I'm looking forward to, is just that, you're at a distant relative's house and, you didn't want to go there in the first place. You're just kind of sitting in the corner doing nothing. That's just saying.
It happens, man, more times than we like to admit, damn it.
And not just that, just the level of fidelity that these games are, allegedly being played at. I mean, look at like we mentioned this before, but look at the games that they already are testing that out with. All multiplayer games that all require, a good response time. So they're really testing the waters to see exactly how far they can push this technology. And I'm sure at the moment they are happy with what they have. And I think we're gonna be really surprised by what we see. So I cannot wait. And you being able to play on any screen, just bring your controller, Bluetooth controller, and play. Oh, that's gonna feel so good.
Yeah, it's funny because it was, again, I was saying before you jumped on, that one of the biggest selling points for the Nintendo Switch in that commercial was the guy was playing Zelda at home and he had to go, and he popped out the Switch and he just kept it moving. He put the he put the controllers back on and he went on his way. And that's great. Listen, the Switch is what Nintendo does best. They're very innovative when it comes to technology and making something. They've always walked to their own beat, if you know what I mean. Which is why I think the Switch in itself is so successful. But when you think about it, now the Switch, obviously it's limited by the power of the console once it's out of the dock, right? And the games still look great and they still run great. But when you think about what you could potentially be playing, I mean, think about this for a second. It's not in the list of games. But let's just say that the test goes well and they want to start adding games to this. Could you imagine, like, for instance, I'm addicted, and I mean almost to the point of delirium, where I just cannot stop playing Ghost Recon. Now, I know the game has gotten a lot of shit, and I am here to tell you the game is absolutely astounding. It's fantastic. If you liked Wildlands, you're going to love this game. If you want the old school 360 type of Ghost Recon, you just, the Warfighter, you're just not going to get it here. It's just not like that. But if I could take that with me, stop playing here at the house, and then if I'm waiting for my wife to come out of work, or I'm just at a dentist appointment or a doctor's appointment where you're waiting 45 minutes, how amazing would that frickin' be to be able to play whatever game you want? And that's what it looks like it's going to do. Like I said, I'm actually not mad I didn't get in, to be honest with you, because I had a chance to play it. I'm just so excited for this community that whoever gets in has an opportunity to see what I saw in June. Because when I was talking with the dev, he told me from where we were standing in that Microsoft theater, the server powering Halo 5 that I was playing, and it was flawless, was 348 miles away in San Francisco. Okay, understand, it was 348 miles away in San Francisco, and we are in LA, and it ran flawless. Folks, we are on the cusp of something really impressive, exciting. If you're an Xbox fan, if you're not an Xbox fan, I'm not sure who on the panel said it, but you should at least try it. I mean, would the panel agree with that?
100%. Yeah.
100%. Yep.
Well, listen.
I mean,
if no one else has anything else to add to it, I kind of just want to move on to the next topic. It's a pretty good one. I think a lot of people, especially if you're a PlayStation 4 owner, you're going to dig it. Anybody want to add anything before we get on out of here to the next topic?
No.
Okay. All right, gentlemen. Well, listen. Bloodborne is a game that I'm terrible at. I'll be the first one to tell you. I bought it. I played it. and I absolutely suck at it. There's something, I don't have the patience. It's why I suck at the Souls games. But this game was a little bit faster. I got a little bit further, and of course I didn't beat it, folks. I'd be lucky if I beat the first boss. All right, but I bought the game to support the company because it looked interesting. Well, the creator behind Bloodborne explains in an article that why we haven't seen the sequel on the PlayStation 4, and considering the amazing success, I gotta be honest with you, it's a bit of a head scratcher for me personally as to why Sony has not greenlit this sequel. Now, as of this show, there's been no word of a sequel from Sony Interactive Entertainment or developer From Software. And unfortunately, there's no word on a sequel. But the game's creator, okay, I hope I don't butcher his name, it's Hidetaka
Miyazaki.
Miyazaki, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for that. Did recently talk about the hypothetical sequel with GameSpot Brazil. And according to the legendary director, and this is where the head-scratching part comes in, folks, he says, and I quote, "The sequel, even though he wants to do one, isn't up to him. And while he never outright says it's up to Sony, the question is, who else would it be up to? Because he's willing to do it." Now, when you talk about list wars, or more importantly, exclusives, the one thing that the Sony PlayStation 4 has in spades is first and second party exclusives. And Bloodborne is a title that was a system seller, no doubt about it. It's a Souls type game, which is a very brutal type of genre, but it is loved by millions and millions of people. As a matter of fact, when you talk to some Sony exclusive players, which that's the only console they have, if it's not number one, it's certainly in their top 5. Bloodborne fills those top 5 almost in every list you talk to people. Now, according to comicbook.com, there's been rumors all over the place about a Demon's Souls remake coming to either the PlayStation 4 or PS5, and that could be why. I mean, they don't want to put too many Souls-type games if they're going to Demon's Souls, another game I bought. I still own the collector's edition of that, and folks, I didn't get past like the first 20 minutes of it because I just suck. I'd be the first one to admit it. But I still bought it because that collector's edition was dope. But my question to the panel is very simple. And I'm going to go to I'll go to Cybernox first on this. First of all, are you a Bloodborne fan? And secondly, are you just as surprised as I am that Sony did not strike while the iron was hot and have From Software crank out a winner of a sequel?
Yeah, I'm actually a Bloodborne fan. To me, that genre, it's funny because I tried Dark Souls, the original, and at first I wasn't a big fan, and then I tried it a little bit more, and then I just put the game away. And then I think Tempest, I always tell the story, but Tempest is the one that introduced me to the Surge after I saw the Surge 2 trailer.
Nice.
So I became like a fan of that genre. So there's something just very satisfying to me about that combat system where it's very strategic. You just not smashing buttons per se. Now, I am baffled by this news. If you look at Bloodborne, if people like to look at the Metacritic score, this Bloodborne is rated extremely high. It did very well.
Yes.
As of 2017, I looked up at the numbers. It sold over almost 3 million units, which is maybe on the little low side for how many units we have for PS4s. But I just can't believe it that the sequel hasn't been greenlit yet. I was for sure that Bloodborne 2, the PS5, as possibly a launch title.
Oh wow, dude, that is.
Yeah,
I never even really put one and one together, but that would be ridiculous.
But this news here that we got from GameStop Brazil just throws a little wrench on that, and you don't know what to think of it. You don't know if the Sony think that Bloodborne was a failure, or was it a success? Or maybe they just want, us to take a little bit of a break from, these Dark Souls genre games, kind of like what you alluded to. Or you never know. But I'm actually extremely, like I said, I'm a bit baffled by this news. I thought for sure we would have been seeing a Bloodborne 2 with a PS5.
There's a guy in the chat. His name is Sekiro. First of all, I if you've been here before and I missed you, dude, I apologize. First of all, I want to say welcome to the show. He says Bloodborne is great. I got the platinum trophy for it. My God, man! If I didn't want to blow anyone's ear out, I would give you a golf clap that they could hear in Texas, because holy shit, that is epic. So congratulations on that, dude. Listen, I've purchased every one of the Bloodborne games, so I bought them all, and even Luca, who is that Bloodborne is a game she plays. She loves all of these soul type games, and she was willing to do like a walkthrough with me. We never got a chance to do it, but I really appreciate that, because that's how terrible I was. But I want to go to Tempestsun. Now, I actually did not know that you were a Souls type of fan. Does Bloodborne, are you just as shocked as I think all of us are that Sony did not immediately greenlight a Bloodborne 2, considering how many people went out and supported this game when it was released?
Yeah, I'm a little shocked. But first of all, when you said as a system seller, funny, but true story. I bought the PS4 very close to launch, and I proceeded to play nothing on it for a while. There's nothing to play. Nobody wants to admit it, but there's nothing to play. I sold my PS4, but then Bloodborne came out, and I had to play it. So I went out and rebought my PS4. I just should have had one, I know. But I rebought it for Bloodborne, and I was so into it. Like, what's around this corner? What's around this corner? That lasted for a while, and I remember beating the boss. It was another hunter that it's a cool fight, hard fight, but it was another hunter that was clearly like going psycho or something. I don't know. And he ended up turning into a monster mid-fight. Awesome boss fight. Man, that was cool. I was hyped up. Shortly after that, I started thinking to myself, I'm like, well, why did I just fight another hunter? I was like, what's the story with this guy? I just realized, I'm like, I don't know what's going on in this game. I'm just walking through stuff, and it dawned on me, I'm like, just like you, Boom, I bought Demon Souls on the PS2, and I thought that was the best of all of them, to be honest with you. But I played, I'm sorry, PS3, not PS2. But I played Demon Souls on the PS3. I bought Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3, and I bought Bloodborne. And I haven't beat a single one, and I've bought them all. So, you call yourself a boob. I'm the boob. Seriously, they keep reeling me in. I mean, it's a type of joy. I think the difference is I believe I'm really close to beating Code Vein, and I know I'll beat that game. I think the difference is a lot of people like the almost like hidden storytelling, the type of storytelling where you really got to dig deep and look at every little piece of lore the game might give you to figure out the story. I guess I'm just not because I actually think Code Vein isn't probably as good of an actual game maybe as say some of the Souls games, but I'm closer to beating that one, and that's just because it's got a much more in your face narrative. I think that's my thing. Now that's just my little tangent. If we actually get about Sony not greenlighting it, maybe From Software is seeing such a huge return with having multi-plat games. Maybe they're selling so much on Xbox and PS4. And if they're doing it on PC, maybe they're just maybe they're asking too much money from Sony. Maybe Sony doesn't want to pay for it. I mean, if you devote that much time into making an exclusive, I know it might have sold great on the PS4, but I mean, I think Sekiro sold a lot more.
It did. It sold a ton. Yeah.
But I saw here the numbers. This is a 2017, so take this with a grain of salt. It said it sold 2.92 million in 2017. That was 2 years out. It came out in 2015, right? I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, for the number of PS4s that are out there, I mean, I know it's a niche genre, let's say, but man, you'd figure that that game would sell at least like 5 million.
It's not
easy,
that niche anymore. It's not. I
That's
mean,
right. That's true.
There's so many quote unquote Souls-like games. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not a niche genre anymore. It's pretty commonplace now. You'd rather deal with the difficulty.
And
and
Assassin's Creed kind of replicated that combat, right?
the control, the control, God of War. I mean, it's the same control scheme. So I mean, a lot of games are taking inspiration from software. They might just be asking team. They're like, listen, you know, you're going to give us some money, so that should cover part of the cost of creating this game. But we're still devoting the company to a couple years of development time to make this exclusive for you. So, you know, we're getting used to these Sekiro numbers is probably what they're thinking themselves. I'm guessing. I mean, it's just my speculation, but they might be asking too much. So, I mean, you know.
It's certainly possible. I mean, it makes a lot of sense that when you talk about how many actually sold as to how many, and that's kind of, again, that's a hardcore game. That's a hardcore game for hardcore gamers, and you know it's not surprising that it didn't sell like a Spider-Man. You know, 15+ million. Because Spider-Man it appeals to everyone. He's Spider-Man, right? Whereas this is a game that beats you down. Even though you can get good at it, it still beats you down. But it is again. It's because it's Sony. So Sony is so good at knowing and observing the trends and what's going to sell. I mean, it would have been great for a console launch for the PS5. There's no doubt about it. That would have sold units.
Yeah. Just for context, Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice sold around 3.8 million since June. So
wow, that's different. Yeah. So to further my point, like From Software, they're the creators of the Armored Core franchise, and a lot of people love those games. I would love another, but I think that's even more niche. I don't even know if they want to make that game, because why would they when they can pump out another Souls game or something like it, like a Sekiro? I mean, Sekiro is different, but you can look at the two and be like, yeah, that's the same company. So I just think they're going to, I mean, and kudos to them. They're very good at what they do. So why not keep making Sekiro and Dark Souls-like games, So...
No, absolutely. And Forte, before I get to you, actually, there is someone in the chat, Alex Lulo, actually says something pretty interesting that I didn't know about the Souls games. He said the reason the story in the Dark Souls series is like that is because the creator used to go to the library and sometimes the book would not be fully translated, so he had to put in the missing pieces. That is pretty freaking interesting, dude. Thank you for that tidbit. That's very interesting. But Forte, I want to get your opinion on this because obviously you know how many copies Bloodborne sold. Listen again. It's not Spider-Man numbers, but that game when you want to talk about one of the top games for this generation for the PlayStation 4, Bloodborne is in that conversation. Are you, like all of us, shocked that this is not been greenlit and, more importantly, set up to be a PS5 launch title? I think Forte is gone again.
Forte,
he's muted. Okay, so we'll come back to him. Forte, you there, brother?
Slow-mo's here.
Hey, Slow-Mo Backslap, thanks so much for being here, dude. Slow-Mo. Okay, this is a nightmare. Listen, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna move on to the next topic.
And technical difficulty.
Yeah, it has been
all the duration of the podcast.
Yeah, well, hopefully not, because we definitely want to put on a good show.
Let's just blame Microsoft. Everybody else wants to, man. It's their fault.
No, it's definitely possible. Microsoft might be to blame. It could be Google. It could be because I crapped on Stadia, so it could be like, we're gonna fix you, BoomStick. I want to move on to the next topic though, that I think is pretty damn interesting. In a title that has fallen off the map for a lot of people, I'm very happy to hear that Dying Light 2 is going to be supported for at least 4 years after its release in 2020. Now, according to the comicbook.com, where I pulled this story from, Dying Light 2 is set to arrive on the PS4, Xbox One, and PC sometime in spring 2020. And according to Techland, this is double the size of the original Dying Light. Now, we also know that the Polish developer plans on bringing the game to the PS5 and Xbox Scarlett after launch. However, their post-launch plans will exceed 4 freaking years. That is crazy to talk about support that far away, and the game isn't even out yet. Now, Techland revealed its plans on supporting the highly anticipated sequel quite a bit after its initial launch. More specifically, Techland has stated that at the very least, check this out, the very least, the game is going to be supported for 4+ years, making it all the way through 2024, possibly longer. And this is a small developer, man. I mean, when you hear... I'm going to say this. If there's one thing that I remember about Dying Light 1, it was the quality that came with the game from a very small Polish developer. And based on what we've seen for the sequel being 2 times as big, I have real high expectations for this game. And like I said, the fact that they're coming out now in 2019 and saying, hey, folks, listen, the game's coming out in spring in 2020, but we already have plans written to support it past 2024. Wow, that is really saying something. But you know, if you didn't know, like I said, a lot of people kind of skipped out on Dying Light 1 because it wasn't their genre. Their post-launch support has been ridiculously great, and it's won a ton of praise along the way. In fact, even when many players and the industry as a collective moved well beyond the title, Techland kept supporting it. And I'm glad to hear that we're going to be getting the same type of support for Dying Light 2 in 2020. And I want to go to Cybernox first on this. Based on the article's information and the trailer I sent in the DM, how excited are you for Dying Light 2? But more importantly, how impressed are you for the small Polish developer to make these big claims before the game is even out?
My God, this game is absolutely amazing. I think Dying Light, the first one, was like one of those games, like one of the most underrated games. It was rated really well. A lot of people, everybody that played it seemed to really enjoyed it, but I don't think enough people did play it. Oh my, Dying Light was amazing. It was so good. Mechanic system, I really enjoyed the parkour with all the zombies and, you know, the melee. It was sick. And I cannot wait for Dying Light 2. If you have not watched this trailer, do yourself a favor and go watch it, because there is so much going on in that trailer. It's insane.
Yeah.
There's even a gameplay demo as well. I don't know if people, if you have a chance, that you're cutting off limbs, you're parkouring here, you're sliding, you're going up. Oh my God, the world just seems tremendous. It's in scale, it's absolutely crazy. And for them to show support already, you know, committing to a 4-year support for this game, it tells you what, you know, what, that they really are behind this game. Yeah, I just can't wait to get my hands on it. Spring 2020. I'm telling you, 2020 is going to be 2020
big. Is going to be very expensive.
It's just getting more and more.
It's getting ridiculous.
It's getting crazy. Too many games. What are we gonna do?
It is getting ridiculous. Hey, Nautical, did you get a chance to get back here yet, brother? Holy matrimony. He's here, but he's not here. He probably has to reset his computer. Yeah. Tempest Sun, are you there? Holy moly.
Yes. I was just muted. Sorry.
Okay, no problem, dude. Okay, so now we're talking about Dying Light 2 and the fact that a very small, and I mean small, as compared to many of the AAA developers, Polish team put out Dying Light 1, completely shocked the industry. And even after the game's run, they still continue to support it to play for their player base that still played every day. They came out and supported it. And now we're hearing, based on an article from comicbook.com, that there's going to be 4 years of post-launch support. What are your thoughts on that? And more particularly, how excited are you for Dying Light 2?
Oh, I believe it. Like, I really do believe it, because they supported. I mean, gosh, man, it was like, not only did they heavily support it for like a year, there was like a long break, and then all of a sudden they came out with more content. I was like, holy crap, you know? So, and it looked great, even on the G VCR Xbox One. I mean, it looked fantastic. It ran smooth. It was awesome. And if you look at this this gameplay trailer, I mean, it's interesting because it's during the day, and from what I understand is the zombies just pretty much aren't a thing during the day anymore. So it's almost like a tale of two games. I mean, you're gonna have the gore and all that stuff, but you know, you're gonna be fighting zombies and whatnot at night, and then I guess bad people during the day. So dude, it looks impressive. Like Cyber was saying, if you haven't, like, it is I mean, Boom sent it to me. Yeah, we can hear you, Forte.
Oh, thank God.
But yeah, Boom sent this to me, so I didn't find it myself, but there's an 8-minute chunk of video of gameplay.
It's unbelievable, dude.
It looks really impressive. Like, it really does. It looks really stinking good. So no, I'm very much looking forward to it. I mean, the first one was on a gift that just kept on giving. So
there was just a demo too, but the fluidity, whatever that word.
Yeah, that word.
Moving, like, you're just jumping, you're sliding, you're like chopping zombies, like you're doing everything, and it's just like it looks amazing. It looks like, I don't know where they're playing the demo, probably a high-end PC most likely, but like no frame drops, no nothing. The world looks amazing. He comes outside, like, it's dark, you're running into daylight, you're seeing all these crazy shadows. It's amazing.
Yeah, no, it really is impressive. So if you haven't watched it, go. It doesn't impress you even a little bit. I mean, you know.
I mean, you know what it is? It's a different type of zombie game for sure. You know what I'm saying? It does have the weapon building aspect of it. It does have the different factions that you can do work for. You know, they talked about it during E3, where there was 2 different scenarios that they showed. One was if you worked with the community, you were able to get water flowing, to get them fresh water. And there was another scenario that if you went with the I guess they're like pirates, or you know, like drug lords or something, those people didn't get the water, and that whole community died. It's the choices that you're going to be able to make on top of the parkour, on top of the weapon building, on top of the zombies you're going to be cutting and running from. And I'm going to say this. That game made you afraid to go out at night, because they were relentless, dude.
They really were.
I can't begin to tell you how many times I got stuck on top of a bus at night because they just surrounded, and they're just so much faster. Gaming Forte, thanks, of course. I'm sorry you're having so many problems tonight. Welcome back. Are you ready to talk about Dying Light 2?
What was the question?
First of all, I wanted to make sure you were here, because, like I said, this has been one big technical mess. The whole need, and this is folks. This is we try to prepare for this show really in advance, and this is, unfortunately, we are at the mercy of OBS and at the mercy of Discord, which I absolutely cannot stand using. I'm an old school cat. I like things the way I like them, and the fact that Google got rid of Hangouts was probably the worst thing to happen to podcasting in 2019. I'm gonna say that. But first of all, welcome back, dude. And the question really is that Techland, which is a small Polish developer, recently sat down and was talking with comicbook.com about they're going to have 4 years of post-launch support for Dying Light 2 that comes out in 2020, and that's at the least. And they really kind of hit home with that. At the least, it's 4 years. It could be more. What are your thoughts on this very small developer making these bold promises and delivering the same way that they did with Dying Light 1? But more importantly, how excited are you personally for Dying Light 2?
Man, they did so much with so little with Dying Light 1. Like I said, that game was a completely different game depending on when you played it during the day, night, or during the night. And they just opened it up even more, which is the different hub worlds and stuff that you have in this game. It's like, I forget what they said, but it's like X amount times bigger than Dying Light ever was. And the biggest thing is knowing that they're going to support this game long term. Now, when they say 4 years of the 4 years of content, you know, I look at that as like, okay, you're just going to have content just rolling out for this game over time. Who knows if it's really going to last up to like 4 years? I just look at that as we're just going to support this game for the foreseeable future.
Yeah,
and that's all. And that's all you can really ask for a game like. The thing is, games nowadays, they're really getting into that rarefied era of time investment. It's not about you just enjoyed our game and beat our game and, you know, move on to the next game. Now it's about keeping you in our ecosystem, keeping you with our players, keeping you in the game, and keeping you thinking of us as a place you can play your games at. And this game, by just making this small statement, like 4 years of development, when it comes to how long you could put time into this game, is it going to be any different? So I really appreciate them saying stuff like this. I just want them to understand that even though you are putting that much content in the game, make sure the content is really good, because we didn't play games where there's a lot of content, but a lot of it's hollow, a lot of it's, you know, just thought afters and stuff like that. And I just think with this type of game, people will enjoy this game if the content is really good, because Dying Light 1 was amazing. And like I said, it had a very good diverse way of playing it, depending on if you played at night or during the day. I really love that aspect of it. Now that you can open it up to a whole city like they're doing in just different areas of the map, drilling down on that even more and adding more enemies. Dude, if they can add like they didn't say anything about co-op in this game, did they?
I think it is actually co-op, as a matter of fact.
I would assume so.
I think it is going to co-op how big the game is going to be this time around. And if they really do lean in on that content, it needs to be in the co-op aspect. I understand playing it single player and playing it by yourself can be very endearing, but this type of game, the way that they're engineering and building it, it needs to be built with friends in mind to be able to run around this type of environment as long as they want people to do it. So I'm excited. They always stepped it up when it came to the games and the DLC that they added before. The following DLC was really was better than the main game for Dying Light, and I really enjoyed that too. So I'm looking forward to whatever they do with this game for the long-term future.
Yeah, and absolutely. Hey, first of all, we want to welcome Slow-Mo Backslap, finally getting in here. Welcome, dude.
Finally.
Yes. I know, Slow-Mo. I'm sorry.
You know what, dude? It's been a bit of a trek up this mountain tonight, and it's nothing on my end. It's just Discord is just not being user friendly this evening. First of all, thanks so much for coming here. Definitely appreciate you being here. I actually held off the Xbox topic, the big one, until you got here, because I really want to hear what you, and of course we were a few people down for tonight's panel. But before we get into that, though, I just want to get your takes on Dying Light 2. Now, I know you didn't get a chance to take a look at the video I sent. I sent it kind of late, but Dying Light 2 is poised to be 2 times bigger than the original. And what we talked about in this particular story is that this developer, who is very, very small in size as opposed to some of the really big AAA developers, has already said to the community, hey, the game is coming out in spring of 2020, but we already have plans in place to have post-launch support at the minimum to 2024 and beyond. What are your thoughts on this small developer that could making these unbelievable claims and then pulling it off the same way they did with Dying Light 1?
Well, I'm definitely interested in it. I didn't play the first Dying Light. I kind of skipped it because it looked interesting, but at the time I was just playing other games. I was like, I'm not going to have time to play this one. But when I think the first time I saw Dying Light 2 was at E3, and when I saw how innovative they were trying to be, how they were trying to expand off of the initial concept of the first game, then I was like, okay, I think I might want to jump in on this. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. I like hearing from smaller developers that have big ideas. They don't really care about how small they are, what size they are. If you can actually find easier ways to deliver on the vision of your game than just having 300, 400 developers all sitting around and just, doing it through crunch and brute force hours, then hey, I'm all for it. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be interesting, and I think it's gonna sell very well. I think a lot of people are gonna be looking forward to it as well when it releases. Yes.
You think this game will come to Game Pass like the first one did?
I don't know. I mean, it's tough to say. It's not a first party, so I don't necessarily think so. I mean, would it come to Game Pass maybe a couple of months after it's released? That's a possibility if Microsoft does get the marketing rights, the same they did with something like Metro Exodus.
That's what I'm figuring. I think it'll come to Game Pass eventually. Yeah.
Or like Blair Witch.
Like Blair Witch. Yeah,
some of these smaller games. That look like they're gonna do really well. They seem to get some of them into Game Pass at launch, and then, as you said, a smaller developer, they may, hey, Microsoft may deliver the bag and be like, hey, come on over here, and they might
find an envelope underneath their keyboard.
No, it's possible. It's definitely possible, and it's interesting because it would be a great game for Microsoft to get the marketing rights for, and it would be a fantastic game because of its multiplayer elements, which is what Microsoft hangs their hat on, to get it into Game Pass day and date. That would be something else. And because they are, like Slomo was saying, they are a smaller, and I mean really small development house, it would financially behoove them.
Yeah, you're speaking of financials. I could be so 100% totally off base here. I don't really know how it works, but just you said it's a Polish developer. I mean, I just think any US dollar they get is worth a lot over there. So I mean, I think I also just the economics and how it works over there. I think if they just keep porting this game just with good DLC and meaningful DLC, I mean, I think they're probably just happy to making whatever the heck they can make, from the economy over here. It's just got to go a long ways. I think, like the exchange rate, I think like 50 cents is worth like, I think $2 or something like that over there. So, if Microsoft wants to throw them a check, it's got to be worth a lot to them over there. So
I think they have about 300 employees now, it says here. So I don't think that's
big.
That's big. I don't think that's maybe for the first one they were.
Well, maybe they've staffed up for this one because the game is twice the size as the original.
Twice the size and everything. So
the first one was pretty big too. So yeah.
No, I put it this way: it's definitely interesting to say the least. But I want to move on to the and this is probably going to close out the show because it's a really big Xbox topic. I normally ask a community question, and then of course we discuss it at the opening of the show. But for today, I wanted to pose a question to the chat and this outstanding panel. Now, before I get into the question of the day, I just want to go over a few things because, like I said, this is an originally created topic. And there's a lot to get through, so just bear with me. If there's one thing that has been constant over the last decade, the industry has shown that all three companies have had a situation happen where they went from first to worst. We saw this with the Sony PlayStation 3, right? We saw how well they did with the PlayStation 2. They had I'll put it this way: their opening act for the PlayStation 3 was not good, and they suffered for it. Now, granted, the PlayStation 3 did in fact make a roaring comeback towards the end, but they never did hit the 100 million consoles that they've done in every generation since PlayStation has existed. So I'm not saying it was a failure, but I'm just saying that they didn't hit 100 million. Now, if you look at Nintendo, they were the market leader during the Wii era and saw sales that to this day are pretty much a marvel to not only break down but discuss. And the Wii was a phenomenon unlike anything we've ever seen in gaming. But of course, you fast forward to the Wii U, and it was a complete disaster for Nintendo. And to the Nintendo Switch, and they're once again the underpowered console that is winning NPDs like the Yankees are winning playoff games, right? And now we move on to the Xbox One. Now, depending on who you ask, some people will consider this a good generation for the Xbox and that they had fun with their console. And you know what? At the end of the day, the numbers are the numbers, right? That's how we gauge pretty much everything in life. And the gaming industry is all about numbers. And Microsoft, even though they'll never admit it publicly, this generation was a failure for them. They barely got over 40 million consoles sold. So, and we know why. You understand? I mean, we cannot forget the fact that, certain people like Don Matrick and Terry Myerson were mainly responsible for the unprecedented decline in public opinion, trust, and confidence with the Xbox brand. Now, I know it's been a bit of a long opening, but it had to be done in order to kind of make this topic make sense. And here are the two big questions that I posed not only to the chat, but more importantly, the esteemed panel. Now, what I'm going to do, because it's too much to go through, is like we did last week with the Sony topic that was very large. I'm going to ask everyone one question. I'm going to come back around to everybody because it's the only way it's going to make sense. So I'm going to start off with Slow-Mo Backstop, who's our guest. Both Sony and Nintendo saw the same thing happen, where both saw a very similar role reversal situation occur. From the PS3 to the PS4, from the Wii U to the Nintendo Switch. With that said, Slow-Mo, do you believe the Xbox brand and Microsoft will see the same turnaround as Sony and Nintendo in the next generation?
I'm gonna be honest with you, Boom. My daughter came down here and asked me a gazillion questions, so all I heard was the last part. I do apologize, bro.
No, that's okay. I'll read you the question again.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, both Sony and Nintendo saw the same thing happen, where both saw a similar role of reversal situation occur. From the PS3 to the PS4, from the Wii U to the Nintendo Switch. With that said, though, do you believe that the Xbox brand and Microsoft will see the same turnaround as Sony and Nintendo did in their next generation with the Scarlett?
Well, look, it's certainly possible. And the reason why it's possible is because if you have the content, if you have the games, you can turn around anything. And so literally what it comes down to is Xbox Game Studios. Can they deliver on content that you can only get on Xbox Game Pass? And I'm going to say Xbox Game Pass and not Scarlett, because at this point, we kind of have read the tea leaves. Not really the tea leaves. There's a banner flying over all of our heads from Phil and Matt Booty and everyone that essentially they are marketing Game Pass. And for them to succeed in their vision and for them to be successful next gen, Game Pass really has to be the end all be all of gaming subscription services.
Yeah.
Scarlett will sell to people who want a console experience, and there are people who are all about that. They're never going to go PC. They don't really care for handhelds. They don't really care about mobile, playing on the go. They just want to come home, kick their shoes off, get a beer, sit on the couch and play Xbox or PlayStation.
Yeah.
And it's gonna and it can still sell to those people who, as long as they have the games that people want to play. That's it. And so I absolutely believe it can happen. Will it happen? I don't know, because I need to see what these developers are going to bring. I like their pedigree. Like I'm a big fan of Obsidian. I'm starting to like NXL. I like that strategy RPG kind of feel. You guys already know I'm a big Fire Emblem Three Houses fan.
We talked about you. I know your ears are ringing.
Right. So like those kind of games resonate with me. And I tried Wasteland 2. Very interesting game, very interesting concept. It's just looking at it makes my eyes bleed, so I just couldn't do it too much. So I'm looking forward to Wasteland 3 because they really taking that Xbox money, that Microsoft money, and they're really stepping it up. So like I really want to see what they're going to deliver. I do believe they have the most diverse portfolio of developers that do so many different things. Unlike Sony, where you pretty much what kind of game you're getting from Sony, and that's not a knock because they do it very well.
Right.
But Xbox can actually like carve a niche here where we can give you any kind of game that you're looking for. There's something for everybody. So I can really see the potential of them being successful next gen, but will they? It all really depends on, have they learned enough of the lessons that they had to endure this gen and don't make those same mistakes.
Yes, that's a great point. That is an excellent point. Gaming Forte, I want to go to you next because obviously you are our retail expert when it comes to how games sell, how systems sell. And the question, and I'll reiterate it to you, and I'm going to kind of just change it up. We saw changes where Sony made a mistake with the PlayStation 3 and how they marketed it. With you go and get a second job, right? If you want to get it, they priced it all wrong, and we see Nintendo, who was coming off like a big, unbelievable numbers with the Wii, and again mismarketed. They called it the Wii U. They confused the consumer. And now we've seen what happened with Microsoft, and we see the turnaround. Like Phil Spencer, and we're going to get it into the second part of the topic of what he's actually been able to do. Do you think it's possible, the same way that Sony saw success from the PS3 to the PS4, and Nintendo saw return success from the Wii U failure to the Switch? Do you think that Microsoft could see the same type of success go from the Xbox One to the Scarlett? Oh, his mic is acting crazy again. All right, Cybernox, I'm going to go to you, dude. Why don't you take that question?
We're breaking up. What'd you say, Bo?
No, I'm saying I'm going to actually go to you because I think Forte is having some issues with his mic once again. What are your thoughts on that? Can Microsoft see the same type of success that both Sony and Nintendo saw from their original failures to what they have currently?
I absolutely think it's a possibility. X-Hawk said something interesting in the chat. He said no one has won the next generation yet, and that's an absolute
That's a
fact.
great point. That's a really great point.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, we don't know. What I do know is I love the direction the Xbox is going in. They're the most consumer friendly out of all of these big companies. That's a fact. Everything that they're doing is all consumer based, and they've proven again that they want to invest in content. And they bought how many studios? 8?
Yeah, well, they doubled their studio. They're up to 15 now.
They doubled the size. They bought quality. Game Pass is by far, in my opinion, the best subscription service out there. And now they're introducing xCloud. You have Play Anywhere. Like, you just can't not beat it. And if you think like these companies don't learn from their mistakes, history has proven you wrong.
Right.
PS3 started off bad. They came back with a PS4. The Wii was the Wii was an amazing console. The Wii U was a bad one. They bounced back with the Switch. So it's all there for Microsoft to, get the Finns back on their good graces. And they've been doing a pretty good job, in my opinion, so far. Now, they do have something to prove, like Slow-Mo alluded to as well. content is key, especially going against the behemoth of Sony. That they have tremendous quality games. Like their first party quality games is amazing in my opinion. But this is Microsoft from the taken. If you don't think that these companies are not thinking about the next generation as soon as they put out a console, like, you're wrong. They adapt as the generation goes on, and they see, obviously what goes on and what's going, what fans are liking, what fans are not liking, and then they adapt and they move on. So I just hope that they have listened to the fans, they'll learn from their mistakes, they'll provide us with the content, and it's kind of like Slow-Mo said, Game Pass is key for them, and they just have to pull the trigger and go all in on that.
No, that's a great point. I mean, real quick, Mojo Blues actually said something in the chat that I thought was really super interesting. He says that they don't need 100 million consoles sold. They just need like 30 million people in Game Pass, and they could potentially have that because Game Pass, there is no other service like it, and it is doing very, very well for them. I mean, they knew what they were doing, and like I said, even though it was a slow start, I think that we're all, as Xbox fans, going to be very happy in the next generation.
If you just think about the next, what they said already about the Scarlett, Phil Spencer already mentioned this before. They're never gonna not have the power, the most powerful console.
Great point.
Again, so that's one. They, in my opinion, have the best subscription service. That's two. They, in my opinion, have one of the best. Xbox Live is a far superior service than
PSN for sure. Yeah,
PSN for So you start adding all these little things together, and now the only thing that they're lacking behind is on content. But they already made their investment, so it's going to be interesting coming in next gen for sure.
I'm very excited. I'm going to tell you this. First of all, I have to say a big thank you to two people real quick. Sir X-Man drops a $2 super chat, so thank you so much for that. I want to read what he said. It says here, no more developers accept Crysis from Microsoft, please. I'm not sure what that means, Sir X-Man, but thank you for...
He's talking about Crytek. He wants Microsoft to buy Crytek.
Oh, okay, yes. Well, yeah, I've been beating that drum. And, of course, Gotham Guy, who I talked about earlier in the chat, says, he drops a $5 super chat. Thank you so much for your generosity. He says, having a killer launch game like Halo Infinite, Forza 8, and possibly Fable, fingers crossed, will ensure the console sales will hit the ground running. Oh, no, there's no doubt about that. Let me just see if Nautical is back. Nautical, are you ready, my friend?
Yeah, I'm looking.
Oh, he's okay.
He's on. Yeah. Hey, boom. I'll mention one. Can I just mention?
Yeah,
one more
please.
thing?
By all means, go ahead.
Be quick. The only thing, and if you think about it, going to the next generation, the a bit more advantage. So let's say there's only 40 million Xbox out there right now. So you're more likely to buy a Scarlett than you are a PS5. There are people still buying the PS4 right now.
Yes,
I think Sony's one of their biggest challenge is going to be selling the PS5. It's going to sell hotcakes in the beginning, but I think it's going to plateau a little bit because the hardcore will buy it. We know that, but it's getting these casuals that are just buying the PS4 now. They just bought it last year with Spider-Man bundle, and those are the people that you want to try and get on your ecosystem too, or into your new console. So I think that's going to be the biggest challenge, and I think because Xbox has so fewer units out there, I think they have a little bit of an advantage on that end.
No, I'm not. That's actually a great point. Tempestsun, I want to come back to you because the question that I'm posing, and I think you've heard it already, but I'm going to say it again just in case you forgot, is I'm a big believer on history repeating itself, and I'm in the same mindset as Cybernox that I highly doubt Microsoft is going to make the same mistakes that they did with the original Xbox One launch. I mean, there's no doubt they made mistakes, right? Especially when it came to the messaging and the marketing. And we saw Sony make mistakes with the PS3, and we see, obviously the writing's on the wall what they did with the PS4. It's 100 million consoles plus, and it's only growing. Nintendo failed with the Wii U and have a ridiculous amount of success with the Switch, and I really think that Microsoft will do the same thing and see tremendous success, especially because they're setting themselves up. What are your thoughts on that, dude?
Listen, I've seen things change from generation to generation. What I haven't seen is a company literally turn the ship around during the same generation. Now, they haven't caught up to PS4's sales numbers, and they never will. But as far as I'm concerned, Phil and Microsoft has been spoiling us with features, pro-consumer practices for the last couple years. The only thing they couldn't fix right away is the bangers, the AAA games.
Yeah,
I mean,
that takes time, dude.
It takes time. I mean, some of them already had commitments beforehand, so it's going to take time. They've had some time, so I expect there to be quite a few launch games or launch window games for the Scarlett. I agree with everybody said about the power. You know, they don't want to fall behind in power. I think they've been turning it around while we sit here and speak about them. I think they got everything going for them, to be honest with you, going into the next generation. You know, I don't really see – this is a $1 trillion company that decided to really dig deep into this gaming thing. You know, before they were wondering if they were going to sell it. They didn't have the funding. It's almost like a sleeping beast has been awakened, to be honest with you. I mean, in 1 year, they like doubled their gaming studios, you know, so I just see an extremely bright future. I think the company is in the right hands. I really do. So I don't know. It's fantastic. I can't wait. I mean, we were just talking about the xCloud, like and it's. I mean, like I said, they've been conditioning us. They've been spoiling us. I mean, we know Scarlett, you're going to have day one games in Game Pass, you know, right from the get go. Just with this gaming service, you're going to have full backwards compatibility, and that's a guaranteed thing. That's not going to change. They're already doing it this generation, so there's no way in the world that next generation we're not going to be able to play all of our Xbox 360, and X games. It's still kind of an unknown what you're actually going to get because there's some mixed messaging there, like on the PS5 side. You know, you don't really know what to have. So they're already conditioned. And I tell you what, if I had a choice, I mean, even if, you know, Sony had some ridiculously good games on launch that super appeal to me, I already know if I put my money to Scarlett, I already know most of what I'm getting. And it's very pro-consumer practices. So, I mean, I think they're, and like, you know, Mojo said in the chat, they don't have to sell 100. They don't. I mean, they own so many things. Like, is it Microsoft that owns the Havoc engine that's used in so many games?
Yes.
I mean, they have their fingers in so many pies. I mean, without the killer banger software, they're almost pulling in the same amount of profit as a company that has 100 million consoles out. So just imagine when they do have the software. Imagine when these 15, 16 studios start
cranking out games.
These awesome games. I mean, it's just a freight train, and it's not going to stop. So,
no, it's gonna be super, super interesting. Before we move on to the second part of the topic, I want to see if Forte is back because I know he had an important phone call. Forte, did you get back yet, brother?
I think he's trying to work out like technical difficulties.
Yeah, okay, that's not a problem. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna we'll come back to him. So you know, first of all, JD Gamer, dude, thanks so much for being here, and he drops an incredible $2 super chat. He says, "Let's get MS to buy Crytek Rise 2 Son of Rome Part 2, please." Listen, I'm going to say this. I've been banging this drum for Crytek for quite some time. And it's not just to get a Rise Son of Rome 2. I'm looking at it from the business aspect. If they get Crytek, that Crytek engine, it would be something that Microsoft, like all the other engines that they license out, be making money on the back end so they can open up more studios or buy other studios. But I think there's two things that would be great. First of all, Rise Son of Rome 2 would be an amazing game, and that franchise has so much room to grow. I mean, again, if you look at the first one, the way it was done, it's still some of the best graphics, and that's crazy because it was a launch title. But more importantly, that means that they would get the Crysis IP. And look, Microsoft can take the cheap route just to garner interest from the community. Put out an HD collection of Crysis 1, 2, and 3, right? See if the people bite on it. If not, okay, well, you didn't lose anything because it's just an HD remaster. But at the same time, maybe you reboot the IP altogether and make it an exclusive for the Xbox Scarlett. That would be ridiculous. But
hey, Boom, can I just address something in the chat real quick?
Oh, well, by all means, please go ahead.
JD Gaming had a really good question, and I thought it would be something we could just all chime in on real quick.
But yeah, sure, absolutely.
Which Xbox game studio do you think are AAA makers or have the potential to make AAA games? And where are the names of those studios and what AAA games might they remake or genres might they launch? I thought that was a really interesting question because it's something that is always kind of brought up in these gaming discussions on the quality or the level of the newer studios that were purchased, and even some of the older ones, because a lot of people have some issues with 343. But I think it's very interesting that in that question, we know Obsidian has made AAA games before. 343 made AAA games. The Coalition made AAA games. Turn 10 and Playground have made AAA racers, and I know for a fact that their RPG is on the level of AAA because they have it in their job descriptions. So when you look at job descriptions sometimes of these games and what these developers are looking for, so just sometimes when I'm researching a particular developer or game, when I want to make a video, I look up those kind of things just to kind of see what they're looking for from developers, because they're not going to lie on their job descriptions or what kind of games they're making.
Of course.
So I know for a fact the Compulsion Games is looking at making a AAA game. The Hellblade team for Ninja Theory is looking at making a AAA game. Like that they said their next game will be AAA. So it's not the Bleeding Edge game, but the team that did Hellblade is a different team.
The A teams, quote unquote. Yeah.
And their game is going to be AAA. So I would say now also I would say In Exile said, and this is from Fargo, their CEO, he has no intention of ever really being AAA. They don't make those kind of games, which makes sense. So, so some developers will be doing things like that and some won't. So I hope that, helped you out there with that question, JD.
Well, it's a great answer, dude. It's a great. I do want to kind of bring it back around to you, Slow-Mo, and for the second question of this two-parter. When you look at from E3 2018 to now, Phil Spencer has done the impossible, in my opinion. In fact, what Microsoft has done in 17 months has never been seen or done in gaming. The change in the company's direction and business perspective is not only unbelievable, but unprecedented. Do you believe Phil Spencer has set up the Xbox brand to not only overtake both Sony and Nintendo, but put them in prime position to run with the quote-unquote big dogs in the next generation?
Is this for me?
Yeah, that's for you, brother.
Okay, my bad. I think Phil has put them. This is how I'll approach it. Phil has put them in a very interesting and unique position because there's no other platform holder in gaming is doing, and the history of gaming is doing what they're doing. They're very much less competitive with their with Sony and Nintendo, with their competitors. They're not going at them. They're trying to work with people. They're competing in other areas, not just in straight console sales. They care more about subscription services.
Right.
How many subs do you have? They're doing things like putting their first party content day and date in a subscription service and then discounting that $1 to get in. These are things that you see in different arenas and like TV and Hollywood and Netflix and things like that. Like those kind of companies are doing that. You don't see that in gaming. So it is a risk in the sense that for some people, they feel like you're devaluing these games, you're devaluing the brand, you're devaluing the console. And then there are other people who look at it and say, well, hey, you're kind of being innovative. You're putting your games day and date on pretty much any platform I want to play on. It's a boom or bust thing. It's like it can work really great and they can be the leading platform holder in a sense for the gaming industry in this arena, or it could really bust and say like people just keep canceling the subscription after that $1 up. Like that's not going to make enough revenue. That won't bring in enough money to justify continuing to do business the way they're doing business. You know what I mean? So it's like this can work, but it has to work with Game Pass. Like Game Pass is the linchpin of this whole thing. If it's the sole reason why you're going to be able to, like, I'm building a PC. I'm probably going to have it completely built before the week is out.
Wow.
Okay, here we go.
Say what?
Here we go.
Here we go.
But like, so I'm still going to have my Xbox, and I can because I got friends on my Xbox, right? So like, there are certain games that I want to play, and I want my PC. But then when say I'm getting with Nautical Forte and Luca, and they want to play Destiny, I'm gonna get on my Xbox and do that because that's what they're playing. Like, giving someone that kind of options and choice is something that you're not going to see anywhere else. And so if that can really catch on with a lot of people, then yeah, Phil's really going to make out really well with this. And if it doesn't, then you know how this is business, and Phil will have one of those tweets out, like, hey guys, it's been a fun run, and yeah, I'm moving on to other things. Like you will get those kind of tweets. So it can happen. It could really work, but it's really boom or bust.
It's very true. It's very true, but I do have to say that he's positioning them to win. When you talk about power, I don't think that they're going to be behind in the power narrative, something he actually said publicly. And you look at the services, you look at Xbox Live, you look at the Scarlett, you look at all the innovations that they're doing with the new Elite controller. They are attacking this from many, many angles, and it seems as if they did plug all the holes that were in fact the sinking ship, so to speak.
Right.
Cybernox, I want to get your opinion on this.
Hey, Bill, can I say one thing before?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Go ahead.
Knox jumps in. I think what they really need to do to make sure they're successful next gen is get all on one message.
Yes, that's a great point.
Keep seeing too much of we're doing this, and then someone else comes out who's in
one message, one mind. Yes,
yeah, it has to be one message in one mind.
Yes.
You can't be wishy-washy with this. It just that's not going to work. They have to be all one message, and people need to understand what their understanding or vision of success is different than what Sony's vision of success is. Sony's vision of success is selling the most consoles.
Right.
That's what they want to do.
They still have an old school mentality.
Right. And there's a lot of people who still feel like that's the best way to go. I'm not saying that's not the best way to do things. I'm not saying it is, but I'm saying their entire approach to next gen is completely different than Microsoft's. Microsoft wants to have Game Pass be the most subscribers, the most people on it, more than anything else. And that's if they get that, they're going to feel like they're successful. And Sony don't care about that. they want PS Now to be competitive. They don't care about it enough that we wanted to make sure it's outperforming Game Pass. For them, it's selling all these PS5s. So
no, that makes perfect sense. Yeah. Cybernox, I want to go to you on this. Do you think, in your opinion, for the second part of this particular topic, do you think that Microsoft has set, more specifically, Phil Spencer has set up the Xbox brand to win in the next generation? What are your thoughts on that?
I 100% do believe that. I believe Phil Spencer has put Xbox on a phenomenal position. If you think about it, in the 2018 reports, I believe it said that Xbox, their gaming revenue made about 10 billion, I think it said, and PlayStation's was a little bit higher than that.
I think it was like 12.
And they did that with they did that with half of the console sold. Just think about that for a second.
Yeah.
They have a much broader vision of what they want their ecosystems to be like. And they already took stride in that vision. Game Pass, Xbox Live, everything working as one, play anywhere. They have put themselves in a great position to take over next year. Now, they have to deliver on that message, like we mentioned before. Needs to be there. Game Pass needs to be something that not only the hardcore but casuals, because that's a big problem right now. I play with so many different people. I play with a lot of hardcore guys, casual players, but a lot of the casuals don't have Game Pass, and when they do, they only have it for a couple months and they come back in, and some of them don't even have it. And the hardcore consistently have it. They always know where to find the deals. They always know where to, how to get it for the best value. And then that's where the trade-off is. But I think Xbox is extremely happy where they are. They're consistently, making money, especially with, like we said, 40 million units sold. And that's only half. And then next generation coming on, they will have the power narrative. I'm sure they're going to come out with some big bangers right at the launch, and they're just going to keep putting more and more games into Game Pass. Look at the success of Game Pass. Games are coming out on Game Pass month and month. Quality games. Dead Cells came out here last month. Gears 5. We're just seeing like Dishonored here. World War Z just came out this month for here too. Like
ridiculous.
Great games coming out. So I think Phil put them on a pretty good place for next gen. And honestly, if it wasn't for Phil, a lot of people think that Xbox,
I think they would
probably wouldn't even be here.
Mm-hmm,
so
I agree.
That's another point.
And Phil, we trust.
Who trust? I don't understand how people I look at Xbox. Let's look at it as a consumer. What are they doing for me? Everybody asks that, and then people worry about how much money they're making. Like, which one? Don't worry about what they're doing in their back end. Worry about how consumer friendly they are. And to me, like I mentioned before, they're the best one out of the three right now.
Yeah.
No, there's no doubt about it. I mean, when you talk about getting more for your buck, you get it with Microsoft.
Sony is going to be okay. They are going to be okay, but you can already see their messaging changing. As soon as Sean Layden left, it was a very nice. His foot wasn't even out the door. They were looking, and then they said, "Oh, he's out. Okay, perfect. PS Now, $10, please. Oh, we don't have any of our big triple. Put God a word there real quick, please.
Grand Theft Auto 5.
Somebody call Rockstar. Let's make a deal." I feel like they were probably going the traditional route for a long time, and then they see that Xbox is doing extremely well with half of their units sold, and they said, "No, we want a part of that game too." So I think they're gonna invest heavily on that next generation too.
It's going to be interesting, but I am very happy to see the changes that needed to come to Microsoft come in a big way and in a short amount of time. I mean, like I said, if you think about what Phil has done since 2017 to, we're closing in on the end of 2019. It's under 2 years. He turned this ship around. Tempestsun, I want to get your opinion on this. You the writing is on the wall. And you have to talk about, like, we're big number guys, right? And you can't argue with the numbers. Now, of course, 100 million plus consoles to 40 plus million consoles, it's over double, right? It's at 60%, it's 60-40, and that's not good. But when you look at what Phil has done, right? All right, he came in and he fixed the power problem. He talked about the Xbox One S. Then they released the X. Then you had Game Pass come into the fray. Then you had all of these first party studios that he added. All these developers that he added to the first party studios. Now we have Project xCloud coming out. Game Pass is a runaway success, and now we're going into the next generation. Do you think that Phil has literally lined up the dominoes for them to be successful in the next generation?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's even beyond the console. I mean, we're at a point where, I do own everything. I got a PC. I'm on it right now. It's a gaming PC. I've been playing Metro Exodus through Game Pass.
Fantastic game. Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, through Game Pass on PC. I have Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition preloaded on Game Pass already as soon as it drops. That's on PC. That's all for $15 a month. The value's hard to comprehend, but I think when they really decided, listen, this is the way to go, is Phil has said it numerous times. As soon as they really got into this Game Pass thing, they realized, like a rising tide raises all ships. Everything sells more since they brought Game Pass into the games not on Game Pass sell more. Game Pass games sell more, even though they are on Game Pass. It almost doesn't make sense, but when you really think about it, with such a good service, at any time you could just scroll over to the Game Pass section on your console, in the future your phone, on the PC. It doesn't matter where you are.
Tablet, doesn't matter.
Yeah, tablet, it just doesn't matter. You go to Game, you browse around, and they're not putting crappy games on there. They're not. Cybernox just said that. They're putting phenomenal games. I tell you what, they put so many good games on there, I'm almost scared to actually buy a game.
No time to play, yeah.
Because, exactly. Yeah, you have no time to play. But it's so good that service you're always going to be revolving around. Why would you give that up? Why would you give that service up? And I think they know they got people. They got me. I ain't going to leave the service. That's for dang sure. And it's just something where the more time you spend on the console, you might start buying your movies on that console. You might start watching Netflix on your console. You might start doing everything on your Xbox just because you got a service you could always jump to and just at a click of a button download a game. And on these new consoles, apparently you're going to be able to load games up extremely fast. So listen, they got people. The value is there. The changes that they've made, right now with the Xbox One X, you got the strongest console there is on the market. He has really fixed, Phil has really fixed everything that you can complain about. Yeah. Everything. Like I said, the only thing that's not fixed now is the AAA bangers, but guess what? They're coming. And I do have to say that the diversity of Xbox games is unbelievable. Like it is truly diverse. Take one look at Gears 5 and then take one look at Sea of Thieves. And then you the best racing games on the market on top of that.
Yeah.
And geez, within Exile, that topic from or that question from JD Gamer when Slow-Mo was going through it. The bottom line is, if they've only made AA games in the past, if any developer wants to make a AAA game, the one way you do that, you spend money. And they have the backing of $1 trillion company. It's any one of these, even though in Exile said they don't want to make AAA games, they did take a AA game like Wasteland 3, and it's already been elevated. They said
it looks fantastic, dude. Yeah.
It looks way better, and with the extra funding, they've been able to add voice acting through the entire game.
Yeah, that's key. That's very key.
Yeah, so it's money.
You're tired of reading.
Yeah, that's where it comes from. They just any one of these. People look at like compulsion games, and they're like, "Oh, well, what are they gonna do?" Who knows, dude? They got the funding. They're hiring. They could end up being Microsoft's best studio. I mean, listen to it now, and you're like, yeah. You don't know. I mean, We Happy Few could have had barely no funding. They could have done that on a shoestring budget.
Yep.
I mean, we don't know these things. I mean, the sky's honestly the limit at that point. Bottom line is we got 15. Is it 15 or 16 studios?
It's 15 for now.
15.
And there's there's a total of 15.
Can you imagine the relief
with the new studio that Shannon Loftus is making for
the RTS game? Yes.
Yeah, some RTS game. Wouldn't that be 16? I don't know.
I think the 15th studio was the was the Loftus one where it was going to be the Age of Empires. It was the Age of Empire.
Right,
developer.
Age of Empires, right.
So there is. I mean, obviously
more than that after EXO in a couple of weeks.
Well, that was going to be the next thing.
Listen. I mean, it's a narrative, but dude, you're not going to spend that much money, taking all of these studios, giving them new studios, building them new buildings, doubling their employment size, and not have them make games for you. The games are coming. It's just going to happen. And it's 15 studios, a lot of games. And some of these studios have multiple teams. We already know for a fact that Ninja Theory is working on 2 separate games at the same time. So, I mean, with Game Pass day and date, dude, why would you? Even if you wave the blue flag, awesome. But you know what? On the side, why don't you wave a little green flag?
Yeah, still get your money's worth. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
It really is. So,
I like that.
When people talk about Game Pass, they got to remember, this is a monthly thing. So, like the spike that we saw for Gears, they said there were 3 million players playing. Let's say there were out of those 3 million players on for next month, and they're paying, let's say, the minimum, the $9.99. That's an additional $10 million?
Yeah. Yep.
Following month. And then let's say a half of that, they forget to cancel it for the next month, or they want to keep going, and it just keeps adding on.
Well, that's why they keep adding all these games. They make you want to stay a subscriber.
The relief that these developers, like other developers on Xbox games, so can you imagine the relief? So for some of the stories that we've seen the videos of them commenting on, we don't know, if we're gonna make it, to the next game or next month. We're gonna can you? Just the weight that has been lifted off their shoulders and allow them to do exactly what they love to do, and that's make games. Like, you're gonna see that on the games. That's just gonna transpire on the quality of the games, man.
Real quick, if you haven't seen it, they released some concept for the future project. Cough, cough. You look at State of Decay 2, and even though it was a step up one, people are like, well, that's a Microsoft game. I'm like, it wasn't when it was being made. I mean, it was an exclusive, but that was made by a really small team. So just
a very small budget.
Very small
budget. I love
budget.
State of Decay, man.
Oh, I love it too. Yeah. Well, I mean, look at this concept art, and it looked to me like Times Square. I mean, just imagine them imagine like a Destiny, not Destiny, I'm sorry, The Division. New York City, of graphics, but with State of Decay. I mean, that's a possibility.
Yeah,
it is. So,
I am going to say this:
they would need to, and if they wanted to go to that level, they would need to. Because, like, if you think about the Division was made by 5 different development teams that Ubisoft had.
Yes.
So, like, and you combine them all together, they're like 250, 300, almost 400 developers. Mm-hmm. That's something that. I think and if you think about Undead Labs made State of Decay 2 with 60 people. If that. I think they started
when you think
30.
about it, that's crazy.
Right, also, right. So, I mean, it's just in so many different parts of that game, they added multiplayer, but then they even said, hey, look, they're like when people were complaining about that tether, that co-op tether.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. They said they did that on purpose because they didn't know when they did. See, these kind of decisions are made in pre-production. That decision was made years before people were like complaining about it right before launch. You can't just change and say, "Oh, okay, look, we're gonna get dedicated servers from Microsoft. Don't worry about it.
Just turn it off. It's fine."
Yeah. It's too late for that. They made that decision years ago. We're years in development, and so it's like, they made that decision back when they were a small independent developer, didn't know whether Microsoft would still be in their corner 3 or 4 years from now, didn't know whether they actually would still be in existence 3 or 4 years from now. And so they said, we want to be able to make sure that people can still play this game, even if we're no longer Undead Labs.
That's crazy. Yeah, well,
I know we're going real long, but real quick, I was just going to say, these studios all talk to each other. They all share. Like, we don't even know what the Slipspace engine from 343 is capable of. They could be developing the most bad A engine on the planet.
Yeah.
We don't know yet. But they could say, oh, State of Decay, you want to make this huge open world, make it like The Division, but with zombies, go for it. Here's the Slipspace engine. I mean, we don't know. I mean, all these studios can help each other too. So.
Well, that's actually something that they are doing. For another hour.
Yeah. No. Well, listen, we're 2 hours and 10 minutes into this show. It has been amazing, even though we had a few hiccups, a few short. We were short when we started the show. Obviously, it worked out. Unfortunately, Gaming Forte is still having trouble with his mic, so we're gonna actually end the show because again, we're over 2 hours, and we hope that everybody enjoyed it. But before I get out of here, I just have to say one other thing. Sir X-Man, who is an amazing community member, he was on last week's show, drops an awesome additional $2 super chat. He says everyone put in Crytek. Yeah, I really hope that they actually do buy Crytek. But let's get everybody out of here. We'll start with Slow Mo Backslap. Hey, dude, listen. First of all, thanks so much for coming in. It was a big save because we were down some team members, and you, like a superhero, you swooped in and gave us the boost that we needed. Love what you've been doing with your channel. You're taking content that no one is really talking about, and you're doing videos, and I think that's super important because, like myself, we have like the same brain pattern where we want to talk about games, but we kind of want to talk about games that everyone else isn't talking about. Right. And I really like what you're doing, and of course, you're on several podcasts. Do me a favor, tell everyone where they can follow you, but more importantly, check out your awesome YouTube channel.
Sure. Thanks once again, Boom. Thanks for the invite. My first time on this particular Boom podcast, and I'm glad I was able to make it. Sorry, I was a little late. I on Mondays, me and the kids, it's like a fight just to get them in bed and keep them in bed. I need to find some belt buckle straps and just strap them into the bed and so they can stay there and stop getting up. But once again, I'm just for the time I was here. Great conversation in gaming, great discussions going on in chat. The chat was awesome, and you guys can find me on my YouTube channel at Slow Mo Backslap. I talk about new games from smaller indie developers that you may never heard of. I do a whole thing about that. I love to focus on those developers, highlight them. Really give them their props when they're really, really talented and their games look like something that should be AAA, but it's really, from an indie, smaller AA, a smaller AA production. You can catch me on BRAP on Wednesdays with Nautical, Gaming Forte, Enrique, B Money, Eric Jackson, and also on Saturdays when I can make it, with the Ash and Luca on the Scumcast with the whole Scumcast Spectres crew. So really appreciate the invite, and I'm going to have here's a prediction for XO that I'm gonna throw out there. If it happens, I'm slow-mo Tradamus, okay? One of the studios Microsoft is going to buy is Night School Studios.
Really?
Night School Studios is making After Party. They also make Oxygen.
Yes. I cannot wait for that game, bro.
That game is going to be. I can't wait for it too. It's coming out 10 days.
10 days, yeah.
Yeah. But that's my prediction.
All right, that's a good one. That's definitely a good one. Cybernox, I want to get you out of here as well. Do me a favor, man. You actually have a YouTube channel, and when you get a chance to put content up there, it's always quality. You bring a lot of gaming knowledge to this show, so having you on each and every week is a big deal for me personally. Love having you on the panel, and I'm glad that you accepted the no money offer to join Primetime Gaming. But listen, love that you're here every week. Do me a favor, tell everyone where they can follow you on Twitter, but more importantly, check out your YouTube channel.
Yeah, Boom. I appreciate that. You sent me that invite. I was on here super fast. But yeah, chat. It's been real. It's been great. You guys are awesome as always. We're slowly taking over RDX and BRAP. So we already got Slow Mo in here and Gaming Forte. So Slow Mo's been real, man. It's a pleasure. First time podcasting with you. So that's awesome. You guys can find me, on my YouTube channel. Hey, I went over 100 subscribers.
Yes!
I'm rich. I'm rich, bitch.
Congratulations, bro.
Get to that 100 is tough. Let me tell you.
It is. Listen, everyone has to start somewhere. It is. It is.
So I'm extremely happy about that. They kicked me out of the main house. They kicked me down to the basement. So I set up my office here. Hopefully a lot more content will be coming to the channel. But yeah, Cybernox on YouTube and Cybernox on Twitter. Just hit me up on any other platforms. I'll be glad to talk games with you guys, and Cybernox on Xbox Live if you ever want a game. But chat next Monday. Don't forget us again. All right, you guys been phenomenal.
Yeah, this was.
You got one more, bro. I just subbed to you, man.
Yeah,
I appreciate.
Oh, nice,
excellent. I appreciate that very much, man.
That's right.
No
One
problem,
hand
man.
washes the other on this show. Thank you very much for that, Slow Mo. Appreciate it.
To your channel.
Tempestsun, listen, dude, you have a big MMO coming out tomorrow you're very excited about, and you are, of course, always willing to play with members of the community, also sniping them at the same time in Apex Legends and whatever other game online multiplayer games you play. Do me a favor, tell everyone where they could reach out to you on Twitter, talk about gamings, but more importantly, if they want to link up with you on Xbox Live or PSN, give them that information as well.
I am at the Tempestsun on Twitter and Tempestsun the space on Xbox Live. I'm always down to play whatever. I do have a big MMO launch tomorrow. I'm the MMO guy, but yeah, I'm super looking forward to it. If you want to look into it, it's Arcade Unchained. It is going to be awesome. But real quick, I retweeted something on my Twitter. Go check it out. It's actually from Obi-Wan FTW. It is him playing Halo 5, and you can see on the screen that it looks like he is locally plugged in.
I'm not gonna go see it.
No.
Because I'm gonna be mad.
No, be mad. Yes, I understand, but it's worth seeing. It looks insane. It looks insane. So, I want to get accepted.
Yeah, you know what, guys? I'm just checking I'm checking my feed to see if that invite, Phil Spencer, if you're listening, I want the invite. Damn it! Anyway,
Man,
listen.
Look, I thought I was a shoe-in to get it. They got a deal with T-Mobile. I have T-Mobile. I'm in a great area for broadband. I got Verizon internet. I got 1 gig download. I'm like, oh, I'm in.
What was like this? Check, double check. Please send me my email.
Yeah, I'm like, there must be a mistake.
They must have forgot about Slow Mo backs up. Maybe. Well, all I know is that Phil Spencer did tweet out that other invites are going to be going out throughout the week. So I'm hoping that everybody who is interested in this incredible piece of technology gets a chance to play it. But again, just so because he's having mic trouble mic issues rather. Nautical Gaming, you can find him at Nautical Gamer on Twitter, and you can of course check out his amazing YouTube channel that he continues to grow. And you can find him on BRAP each and every week, as well as Lucas Scumcast on Saturdays. But this has been a great show. Chat, you guys have been absolutely amazing. Thanks everyone once again for being here. Like I said, I do appreciate everyone's kind words regarding the hiccups that we had, but it still was an incredible show. Have a great evening, and we'll see you next week at the same time on the newest episode of Primetime Gaming. Have a great week, everyone. Take care.